can violate it by doing stuff that will raise it up, and then we have bad things happen to our brains. Now, what does the world need the most? We already said there's more sick people than poor people. There's more sick people than anything else. The world is a sick world. You know, until last year, or maybe this year, we were #1 in obesity. And the valley, Texas Valley, was the #1 in the United States. We're still #1, I think, in children obesity in the world. And despite all this, you know, I have here my brother Overfield, who's a neonatologist. He can tell me if I'm wrong or not. Despite all the neonatologists, all the things we have in this state, we're still in the highest rate of neonatal death. We're not like the best, are we? By far not. We still have a lot of deaths as babies are born. And we have a lot of things that we can do for babies. It would still rank very high up there. But we are #2 in the world in obesity. You know who's #1? Not the Philippines. #1 is Mexico now, our neighbors. Cancer of breast is 1 in every 7 women. That's a very high rate. That's better than 10%, because 1 to 10 would be 10%. 1 to 7 would be 15%, something like that. Cardiovascular events are #1 cause of death, still in the United States. Diabetes, supposedly 7 to 10% in the United States are diabetic. But in Texas, here in the valley, I think we're hitting 20%. Obesity in children at an all-time high. Not to mention that now we have the luxury of calling a kid that comes into your office. Now you have, the kid is 11 years old, and you say, now you have adult onset diabetes. Because I'm not an adult, I'm just a kid. Yeah, but you have an adult onset diabetes. Because they come in weighing an excess of 250 pounds. I have a kid that's 11 years old, he weighs 280. Again, I don't have a kid, he's one of my patients. So I fight with these kids, and school lunches are terrible because we saw last night what the requirements are and what is it that they feed him over there. And they have to feed him an excess of 35% fat and about 35% protein, and it's all animal derived. Open heart surgery. We all know somebody has open heart surgery. Alzheimer's, that's an interesting one, right? Because we never thought it would be related to diet. You know, in the world, there's the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, and then is the area that's close to the equator. So you can look at it, the world in just a way that is very simple. Anything above the equator, it's industrialized. Anything on the equator is poor, not industrialized. You know, that's where Mexico, that's where Central America, and that's where all these people, the equator, all this, Colombia is not considered, you should go a little bit south. But as you go to Argentina, no, those are industrialized countries. So the extremes are industrialized. So the studies have been done, and they said that diseases cluster themselves in areas of the world, and it just so happens that it's in areas that they have westernized type diet. In most of the diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, MS, juvenile diabetes, arthritis, all these diseases, they are more in the industrialized areas of the world. And the only thing that can be linked to them is diet. That's it. And in the equator part of the world, it's poverty. You don't have the luxury of eating a steak every day or hamburger every day. You can't do that. You live on rice and beans sometimes. Well, they might have parasites and other diseases, fungus and all that stuff, but they don't die of heart diseases. But you extract that person from that and put him in the United States, immediately will get obese. Well, not immediately, but after a few years. And they will get high blood pressure, and they will get heart problems. It's all in the diet. Alzheimer's is one of those diseases. You have more in the industrialized part of the world. And it has to do a lot with what they call the cognitive impairment diseases. We'll talk about that this afternoon. Cognitive impaired diseases. And those are from mild, like this morning as I was coming over here, I lost my USB stick. This is where I had all this stuff. And I tell my wife, did you see, I just had it in my hand. And I went to put my coat, and then I couldn't find it anymore. And that's a cognitive impairment problem. Took me about 10 minutes to find it. Actually, I didn't find it, my wife found it. From there to complete dementia. And we call it vascular dementia. And because it's plugged up all the vessels with cholesterol and all that stuff. And so you have something that is severe, that you need treatment, that you need to see a doctor for it. And then, of course, you have the Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is about 1% of the population, but it's doubling every 3 years in the United States. Doubling every 3 years. Those are alarming numbers. And it all has to do with what? Diet. Jesus preached more than Jesus healed more than he preached. Okay. If you read the Bible, your gospel, Jesus preached a little bit, but he healed a lot. He says that every town that he went, he healed. He healed. And then he preached. But first he healed. What is our method of letting the world know about the gospel? What is our method? Do we go to somebody's home and start hitting them in the head with the Bible? You should go to church on Sabbath. But brother, I don't have anything to eat. I don't care. You have to go. You have to go to church on Sabbath. The Lord didn't do that. His loving heart felt for those who hurt. He even healed those who didn't want to be healed. You remember the paralytic by the Bethesda pool? The Lord asked, he'd been sick there for 30-something years. The Lord asked him, do you want to be healed? What did he say? Oh, Lord, I don't know. I don't have anybody to put me in the water, He was a very negative person. I don't have anybody to put me in the water. I've been here 8 years, and every time somebody comes and the angel moves the water, nobody is there to pull me in the water. So I don't know. And the Lord healed them. Even negative people like that He healed. So we cannot be selective. We have to go out and find somebody that needs help, that needs instruction, because we as Seventh-day Adventist Christians know a lot about this stuff. But we have these seminars all the time. I didn't repeat the other ones because you already know all that stuff. You already know that in the morning you're supposed to eat fruit, that at noon you're supposed to eat beans and rice, that you have to precede it by a salad, that you have to use only olive oil, that you have to use nuts and walnuts and all that stuff. And in the evening, you have to eat fruit again. That is the diet recommended by the Reform. Nothing else. Anything else we do, if we start weighing the chicken and I was watching one of those, there's one channel that's called the Mexican channel or Mexicanal or something like that. But I like it because there's a lot of cuisine or culinary activity there. You know, the chefs and stuff. They go, in my other life, I will be a chef. And the guy was, he was going great. He went to the market and he got all this fruit and vegetables. And then he came to his kitchen and he was going to prepare, and he takes out all this shrimp, a big shrimp. He says, we're going to prepare something unique. And you don't have to worry about calories because shrimp has a lot of omega-3. I said, wow. And it's clean and it has no cholesterol. All this is misinformation that people put out there without knowing. We know that shrimp, gram by gram, has the more cholesterol than any other food. But this guy on TV, national, is saying, no cholesterol, it's clean, it's got omega-3. We can do the same, but with the truth. Right? What does Isaiah say? The religion that I want is, among other things, to heal the brokenhearted. That's what he's going to look for when he comes. That's why he's going to say, Lord, but I preach and I testified and I prophesied and I healed people miraculously. But he said, no, I don't know you. I don't know you because you did not feed the one that was hungry. You did not clothe the one that was naked. You didn't listen to me when I was in jail. And it's all about what is in our heart. See, the revival we need in our hearts is the love that Jesus places in our hearts. And if we don't feel the love for that other one, we won't be able to go out and to him and say, brother, you are diabetic. I can give you some tips. You can change a little bit your diet and you can do better. A diet of fruit, cereal, vegetables, and oily nuts prevents disease, but also reverses most ailments. That's what we don't really teach about. We say it will prevent you, but does it heal you? Does it cure you? I will show you some, at the end of this talk, there's one example that I'm going to show you. But we can't give what we don't have. Because the best way to learn it is to do what? To practice it. Remember the first time I did surgery? I put my knife in that skin and I pressed as hard as I could. And only a little line showed there, and cut nothing. So my teacher would sit on my side and said, cut, doctor, cut! And I went again and he said, what's wrong with the knife? It wasn't the knife, it was me. I wasn't putting enough pressure, I was afraid. So finally I did get to do it. I got to cut, I got the baby out. It was a C-section. And after that, my teacher told me he didn't come with me anymore. One time. He said, now, because in medicine, those of you who are doctors, the saying is, you see one, you do one, and you teach one. That's what you do. The doctors, that's what they say, you do one, but the next one, you teach it. So this is the way we should do it. We are ready to teach. You don't know, but you have all this wealth of information within you. You have all this stuff that has been given to you, and you have it there. And remember the lesson of this morning said, don't hoard it. We're hoarding information. We're keeping it to ourselves. When Jesus gave the bread to the disciples, what happened? They did what with it? Well, they were hungry, they sat down to eat with the bread, right? No, they took the baskets and they gave it to the people. And in the end, there were 12 baskets left. And I guess it was one for each disciple. I don't know. Maybe one for each of them to take home. I don't know. The Bible is quiet on that. But I can always imagine things, right? We can give what we don't have. So let's choose to eat healthy and live healthy. That's what the Lord wants. Now, I do not subscribe to this, okay? I do not subscribe. And I don't buy it. The Inquirer. But I do go to HEB. And as I was going through the line at HEB, I saw this. This is the most recent issue of the Inquirer, actually. Because I saw it right there. and he said, all these prophets agree on this. And there are pictures of all these prophets. I don't know who they were.